Jumping out the sky, 40,000 only for tonight. Cause I love when we fly. Running for my life, I just jumped out the sky. I'm free falling, to be honest, I feel so alive. I've been trapped up inside, now I'm all taking flight. I hope I can hold on this moment for life. And know if I go, I might be losing control. Better hold on to what I know. If I don't, will you stand by me, or will I have to jump all alone? No parachute, it's just me and you. I just need to know if you see it through as we're falling out the sky. Yeah. Whoa. Jumping out the sky, 40,000 on a paradise. Cause I love when we fly. The sun just hit you right, 100 Fahrenheit, and only for the night we can jump out the sky, out the sky, out the sky, out the sky, yeah, yeah. Out the sky, out the sky, out the sky, yeah, yeah. I just need to know. Can you tell me, can you tell me? I just need to know.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Excited to have you guys with us. Welcome to the All Sauce team. This is Saucy Sundays right here on the Betting News Network. Stoked to have you guys with us to tap off your Sunday. That is Danny Burke. That is V-Sauce. That is Jess Sook. My name is Sweatpants Jesus, Daniel Collins. Excited to have you guys here on the Betting News Network. We got a quad box today, boys. Excited to have all of you with us. Excited to have all you guys in the chat hanging out to kick off your Sunday right here on the Betting News Network. Danny, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Yeah, I was talking to you off air saying we got a great sports day ahead of us, plenty of baseball, WNBA. My Bears are playing, so inevitably I'll be a little bit upset throughout the course of this Sunday, and sweating out a good golf tournament too. So no complaints here in the Windy City. Happy to be on with you guys.
Let's go.
Yeah. What's up, boys? In Calgary, these guys saw each other last night. They're feeling good about life. V's back in the promised land. How we doing, boys?
Doing fantastic. And I'm just going to expose Sook before he exposes himself, because he didn't remember I was at his house last night. I guess that's how crazy things are.
He actually literally texted me and told me that he was with you. So the fact that he forgot is big vibe.
He texted me this morning saying, I'm dying. I forgot you even came over. So that's
Yeah, let's just say the spot was my house last night. Everybody was over, including V-Sauce. It's been over a year and a half since I've seen him in person, live in color. I got to physically touch his brown skin, and I was a happy boy.
I got to also see Shaggy yesterday. I got to see Nate here in Nashville. He and his family were visiting Nashville, so I went out and saw him last night, which was it's just we get to work together. We've worked together, a lot of us, for a long time. Obviously, Danny, you're new to the party, but it's crazy when you work online with people, and I mean, like you feels like you know everyone so well, and you're so close. And that's like the second time I've hung out with Nate. And like it was crazy to see him, and I met his wife, I met his parents, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're real! This is crazy that you're actually a real person." But no, it was
we got to touch
awesome.
Danny next.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Chicago, not too far.
Right around the corner, baby. Right around the corner. But Chad, thanks for stopping by. We're excited that you guys are here with us, even though you're not here with us live in person, but you guys are kicking it with us in the chat. Thanks for being here. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Twitch, wherever you guys are hanging out with us, or on X, thanks for stopping by and kicking it to kick off your Sunday. As Danny said, we got a big slate today, boys. We got WNBA. We're going to talk about 5 games. We've got a huge baseball slate that these guys are going to give you guys some plays and some props to dive into. We're going to start off talking a little bit about the golf, because Danny was mentioning that we got some fun stuff going on in the FedEx tourney, which we'll talk about to kind of kick off the vibes. And then we'll jump in and talk NFL preseason, what we saw yesterday, give you guys the moves and a couple of the games going on today. Full slate. We are almost getting closer and closer to feeling like we're really back, like we're getting closer and closer to it being actually legit. We keep saying that we're back, and like, yeah, it's fun to say that, but like we're starting to get to the point where we are actually back. And then to finish off the show, we're going to have some fun, and we're going to rank our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks going into this year. Fantasy football right around the corner. We've got our fantasy league. If you guys want to get involved, we got a few spots left in our second chat league. If you guys want to get involved over there, we'll be sharing that again on the timeline today as well. Excited to have you, Danny, in our group. It's gonna get crazy as we get into the season. But vibes are high. Thanks for being here. Let's jump straight to it, guys. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this golf tournament, Danny, and kind of get a couple of your thoughts that you were gabbing with me, because I think chat's going to appreciate a couple of these plus money sprinkles you were talking about. So what's going on in the links?
Yeah, so we're in the postseason right now for the FedEx Cup St. Jude Championship. It's been a great tournament so far, and what's really fascinating, and anytime you get this opportunity, people are going to look at their phones, look at the odds, see a plus money next to this name, and go, only a couple back, and that's for Scotty Scheffler here, guys. So Tommy Fleetwood's leading the tournament right now. He's 14 under. Following behind him is Justin Rose at 13 under. Then 12 under is the man Scotty Scheffler, and you can get him at about plus 175. Now, I was joking with SPJ off air. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you look at it and you're like, all right, am I going to be the sucker and make the obvious play and take Scotty here? That's what everybody does. But it's because more often than not, when he's in this position, he does come through. And seldom on Sunday are you going to get him at this plus money price. So you have that narrative coming in, guys. And then also you have Tommy Fleetwood trying to finally get a win on the PGA Tour. He had the opportunity earlier this year, and then, notoriously he choked against Keegan Bradley, who had the clutch putt at the end. It's just Tommy Fleetwood's been such a great golfer, but hasn't won. And now he's leading once again heading into the final round on Sunday. Can he finally come through? If you think so, you're seeing about plus 160 for Fleetwood. So again, look, you don't have to go crazy here for anybody listening, but if you want a little action, again, Scotty Scheffler at plus 175, just a couple strokes back, it's something worth considering. And heck, you could even sprinkle on Tommy Fleetwood to hedge a little bit on that at the plus money, or if you want to go 2v1 with the top three guys, you could even get Justin Rose at plus 450. He's been playing great all year. He's older, yes, but if you recall, in the Masters, he lost in the playoff against Rory. I mean, Rose has been battling all season, so would it be shocking to see him come through? And just kind of looking at some of the stats for this tournament, I mean, Scotty has had the best putter among these three guys, strokes gained throughout this tournament. He's second, Fleetwood's fifth, and then Rose has been seventh. Off the tee, Fleetwood's been fantastic, which has put him in this position. But again, it's Sunday Scotty. He's the closer. So I think it's worth considering to just throw a little stab. You don't have to go too crazy. It is golf. Nuts, circumstances happen all the time. Mayhem ensues. Sure. But plus money on Scotty is something worth dabbling on.
Well, like we were saying when you told me this, when I was looking at it, because Fleetwood's leading right now, 14 under. Justin Rose right behind him at 13 under, and then Scheffler, as you mentioned, 2 strokes back at 12 under, and all three of those guys all plus money. So you can throw a cup of coffee on all three. If Fleetwood is the one that wins, you're probably not going to walk away with any money. But if Justin Rose gets the job done, or Scheffler's going to walk away with a couple bucks, or
it feels like a great idea. Just after what Danny said, to put a little sprinkle on Justin Rose, a little sprinkle on Scotty, and just hope for a Fleetwood joke job here on Sunday, right? Like, it's got to be nerve-wracking coming into the final day in the lead, being in this position before, and then just having to wait the entire night, waking up. I don't know. Golf's an intense sport already. The fact that it's individual the way that it is, and now you got Scotty Scheffler 2 strokes behind you on Sunday.
They've already got the image queued up of him with the sun, after Scheffler gets the job done again. So I just sprinkled on Scheffler. I want to ride with that. I'm down to watch him. I'm probably not going to watch most of this tournament today, but I want to look up later when they post that picture and have some beans on it. So chat, there you go. If you want to get involved with something on the links today. All right, let's go baseball music. Well, let's get straight to that then. We'll give you straight for the baseball picks. We got 2 of these guys who are going to give you some props and some sides, and then we'll kind of jump into the NFL preseason. But since we got a chat viewer that's wanting some vibes on the diamond, let's go ahead and get after it. So, V, I'll let you take it away first, and then Daniel will give us some sides. What are some props that you're looking at today on the diamond, my man? All
right, let's start it off with Old Faithful. Kyle Schwarber. He's been fantastic this year. You can get the over 1.5 bases at plus 120, plus 250 for the home run. He's playing in an indoor stadium today down in Texas against the Rangers. But the reason that we're looking at this tonight is not only because he's been fantastic this year, hitting 254 with 41 home runs, on pace to clear 50 home runs this year for the first time in his career. I become just the second Philly to do so after Ryan Howard. I think he looks fantastic. He's got great history against Patrick Corbin, batting .333 on 18 at-bats with 2 home runs in his career. This feels like a comfy spot for Schwarber to once again get the job done. And we know Corbin's been a lot better this year. He's got a sub-4 ERA here at home. He's been really good, but he's still struggled against guys that he has struggled with in the past. Schwarber's also been just kind of killing left-handed pitching this year, batting .269 with 16 of his 41 home runs, a .635 slugging. So I'm going right back to Kyle Schwarber here in this spot here in Texas, over 1.5 total bases, and give me the Yak at plus 250. But the Phillies have been hot, man. It's mainly due to Kyle Schwarber, right? Harper's been out of the lineup. Trey Turner's been kind of having a down year. And Nick Castellanos just hasn't, I guess, maybe had enough bad news to hit that many home runs this year. But he's kind of struggling too. But the Phillies are on top, and they look really good, like they're going to compete come October. What are you boys thinking about this team in general? Like, what have you guys seen?
Go ahead, Danny, because I know you got a lot more thoughts than so can I do about the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies have been my top team from before the year and throughout. They were a team that I picked to come out of the National League, bet them to win the division, and once we got into the All-Star break, it was kind of a weird spot with Philadelphia because you saw the potential with that lineup. You knew how great that starting rotation was, and you were kind of waiting for them to just explode. And now, fortunately for the wagers that I've had, it's been coming to fruition. So last time we were on the show together, you had Schwarber as a bet. I'm feeling good about it again today. I like that you're bringing him to the table because it came through last time. So I'm digging it for today's slate as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm infatuated with this Phillies team. Obviously, a little bit more help from a guy like a Castellanos, like you said, in the long run is going to be imperative once you're running through this gauntlet of a National League. But I love what I'm seeing from them in the second half of the season. If they can close out strong, again, I still feel strong about them then coming out of the National League as well.
I mean, as Colby's got him to lead the league in home runs, and every single time he goes yard now, he's getting closer and closer to that too. So why not again today? And you're getting plus money on him too, V, which is great as well. So, all right, so I guess do another hitter, and then Daniel will give us some sides on the diamond today. What's the other hitter you're looking at?
I got one more. This one from the Cleveland Guardians, Jose Ramirez, over 1.5 total bases, minus 120, minus 110. Holy! And then you got the home run at plus 325. My God, Sook, I can hear you laughing. All right, but J-Rom's been fantastic this year. He's got 23 home runs. He's hitting .290, and he's been even better, just as good against right-handed pitching. 19 of his 23 home runs have come against right-handed pitchers. He got a .517 slugging. And today in Chicago, we got winds blowing at almost 11 miles per hour from right field to left field. I feel like it's just going to help his swing in the smallest outfield in baseball. You've got Davis Martin on the bump for the White Sox. He's been okay, not really a lot of work, 96 innings pitched. He's given up 14 home runs, but he's struggling against right-handed batters. Even though J-Rom will be swinging from the left-hand side today, most of his home runs have come from that side, and I just feel like tonight with the winds blowing, really small outfield, give me J-Rom to get one over the fence at plus 225, and the bases just to kind of bring home that home run money.
Nothing wrong with taking J-Rom, baby. A little bit of some chalk on the diamond today from you, but that's okay. You got to roll with what's working. All right, so there's a couple of hitters for you guys. You got J-Rom, and then you got Kyle Schwarber, both of them for their total bases, and then you can sprinkle on their home runs as per usual. Let's talk a few sides. Danny, I know you've got a couple, and as Danny texted us all this chat before he gives you guys the sell jobs here, is looking for a little pain today. Looking for some pain and some suffering on the Lord's Day. So take it away, man. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment here. So we'll stick with this White Sox and Guardians matchup. And for anybody out there, you can see the W right here. Chicago guy, love the Cubs, despise the White Sox. So somehow, some way, I am here on this Sunday actually putting a bet in favor of the White Sox. I was very, very close to taking their money line, but it's hard to justify going in front of this freight train right now that is the Guardians and just backing the White Sox in general. However, Saucony's taking the bump for the Guardians, and his numbers are very worrisome. And we do know that this White Sox offense, believe it or not, have picked it up in the second half of the season. So Saucony, look at his ERA, not too shabby at 3.72. However, his expected ERA is north of 5. It's at 5.21. His FIP is also in red flag territory at 4.55. He's got a high home run to fly ball ratio at 15%. Ideally, you want to be sub 10%, and he's well over that. His hard hit rate is 47%, which is crazy. And then the barrel rate that the opponents are getting on him is nearing 13%. So the White Sox ninth in weighted runs created plus against righties the past month, and the WOBA's at 328, ISO's at 192. The numbers have been great there. So it's all leading me to not trusting the White Sox pitching staff, but just trusting their offense here, and then going with them over 3.5 runs. Some books actually have it at a flat 4. and some are about like minus 140. So shop around. Minus $1.35, I think, is a very viable get here for this White Sox team to get over 3.5 runs, just solely trusting their offense. Don't want anything to do with Davis Martin. I get the angle that V's taking there and fading him. So, just hoping that they could get to Ciccone early and often.
Yeah, Godspeed on this, dude. This White Sox team is really tough to bet. I know that they can be a little bit all over the place, but nothing wrong with taking a little team total. You don't have to worry about who wins. You don't have to worry about anything else. We just need some runs. There you go. All right, White Sox team total. Now go to you want to go to the pinstripes next, or you want to take us out west?
Yeah, we could go with the pinstripes next. So yeah, this is the other play that I was saying, might suffer a little bit on this Sunday because, when I've talked with Colby, him and I mean, he's a Yankees fan. I've just been, from the outside, just waiting for this team to get into a rhythm as seemingly as everybody else, and they've just failed to do so. With all that being said, naturally, I'm taking the Yankees here in the spot against the Astros, laying the run in the hook here at even money, fading Jason Alexander, who's taking the bump for Houston. Alexander's numbers, not impressive. 5.97 ERA, 5.03 FIP. He's also walking over 4 batters per 9 innings, so that's going to be a liability for this Astros defense. His whip is 161, and his hard hit rate is insane at almost 50% this season. So if there is a time for the Yankees to act like they're the freaking Yankees, it should be today to close out this series. Max Fried on the bump for New York. The Southpaw has been outstanding. 2.78 ERA, 3.05 FIP. And look, I know the Yankees offense is nothing to write home about, but Houston's actually been struggling the last month against lefties. They're 22nd in weighted runs created plus, just at 82 in that regard. So you got a high ground ball pitcher, and Max Fried should be able to get the job done. And look, as long as the bats can back him up, then he should be able to do enough for them to cover this run line. So like them at even money. Then going out west with the Padres, I'll keep this one short and simple here. I like them in the rubber match here. Dylan Cease has been a guy that I was high on this season. Has not been performing that great, but the underlying metrics are indicating he should be doing a little bit better. You look at his ERA, it's at 4.60, but his expected ERA is at 3.41, xFIP at 3.32, so all positive signs. Boston's offense has slowed down just a little bit over the last month against righties. Still pretty good, but the Padres have been better in that span. They're going against Brian Bayo, who's an incredibly volatile pitcher. His ERA 3.03, you may think I'm crazy, but then you look at his expected ERA at 4.41. He's got a really low strikeout to walk ratio, which also could be a big issue for him on the road here against the San Diego offense that is looming in that division and fighting for that wild card spot themselves. So laying a little bit of chalk here, minus $1.37 with the Padres, hoping they can close it out this Sunday.
Yeah, I like this West Coast. I like the Padres. That was the first one you texted. The other two, as soon as you said that they were going to be a sweat, I was like, oh, yeah, he wants to get sweaty on a Sunday. This Yankees game, chat starts in the next about an hour as that one goes off in New York. You can actually get the minus 1.5. As you said, Danny, shop around because that plus money is not everywhere if you want to take the Yankees. And then the Padres, still a nice playable number at most places at, like you said, the minus 135 or even a little bit juicier. It's a minus 150 spots there too. So fun on the diamonds. I think what we should do is I'm going to go ahead and give my WNBA plays next, and then we'll kind of cook the parlay and then have it for the rest of the show. We can kind of talk football. You guys good with that? I think Chad will be fine with that too. We can get a parlay out there for you guys to sweat for the rest of the day for this saucy Sunday. So which hitter do you want to put in here, V, for the parlay? You want to do Schwarber? Do you want to do J-Ram?
I think it's got to be Schwarbs, man. He came through for us last time, like Danny said, even though we didn't put together the parlay, unfortunately. So hopefully this time he doesn't let us down. Giving you the plus 120.
Nice. That one's a little bit later too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Phillies don't start. Yeah. Well, not super later, but later enough. An hour later. And then Danny, you want to go Padres, or would you like that White Sox play? Or the Yankees? Which one are you feeling?
I think for our sanity, the Padres make most sense. You were saying you were kind of digging the Padres too, so why don't we go with that, and hopefully they give us a seamless dub here.
Okay.
I'm fully with it. I just want to say that every time I think the Padres are like the move, it's just yeah. And it's not. They probably should win today. They have been fantastic. I'm just jaded and talking shit on the team.
I get that. I mean, they are a classic team. Like on paper, it should be a great spot for them, and then they find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. But
there's just too many Tatis home run tickets in my garbage that keep looking at me.
Yeah, they look at you like this. There you go, right there. Nice. All right, well, yeah. 2 legs to start us off. So we've got Kyle Schwarber, just to beat Kyle Schwarber. Just go Yabo, please, and thank you. And then the Padres out west. Just be good, boys. Just be good. And Red Sox be bad. That's all we need. All right. So there's some plays on the diamond for you guys. You guys can go check out, obviously, bettingnews.com. We have all the information for all of the games today. If you want to get involved, I think we'll have some information too about the late night game, Sunday night baseball between the Cards and the Cubs. Obviously, there's a lot of history there with that matchup. If you want to go check that out at bettingnews.com, go get involved over there as well. All right, let's swing and talk some stuff on the hoops department. I texted these guys some WNBA action this morning, and Danny was like, I don't really dabble in the WNBA, so I don't have anything there. And I was like, it's okay, dude. It's all fine. I'll have us covered there. 5 games today, though, guys. Big slate. One of them actually starts here in the next 10 minutes. The Liberty taking on the Lynx. I don't have any plays in that game. Our friend Eddie at Betting News wrote about that game. If you want to go peep his scribbles before that game starts here in the next 10 minutes. Should be a good one, too. The best teams in the dub going head-to-head. I always don't like taking these games in these matchup situations, though, at 11:30 in the morning on a Sunday. Like, this is a weird time for a game. This is not a normal time for WNBA games, too. So, but it should be a good game between 2 really good teams. Still none the Fisha Collier for the Lynx. So we shall see how that game plays out. But my plays are going to be in a couple of the later games. The first one is the Dallas Wings taking on the Dallas Wings taking on the Mystics. And this is an afternoon game in Dallas today, 3:00 Central. And I'm going with some chalk. I pitched her the other day, and you guys all laughed at me because I gave a great sell job, and then she ended up not playing. But it's looking like that she's probably going to play today. So I'm going to roll with Paige Beckers. Give me Paige Beckers. I took her points at 16.5. Listen, I said this exact same thing last time with the last game before she ended up sitting out with that back injury problem. She is automatic at home. She's had 20 points in 4 straight games. She plays so much better in American Airlines Arena. And she had a great game when she played against the Mystics earlier this season. She had 20 points in that game as well. And she also flirted with a triple-double. So if you want to go with the PRA for Paige, feel free to do so. But I'm just going with the points. She's back in this game. She's still technically a game-time decision, but it's seeming like that she's probable. So she's probably going to give it a go and play in this game. I'd be very surprised if she ends up sitting out back-to-back games. Usually the way that they kind of manage her is if she doesn't play and then she ends up not playing the next game or something like that. But the Wings don't have anything to play for, so maybe they want to kind of rest her a little bit more as we get into the end of the season before these ladies are not going to be in the playoffs because they ain't making the playoffs. But Paige is great. This Mystics team really needs to win. They need to gain as many wins as they can as they're looking to get into the playoffs as well. So they're going to come out and want to play really well here in this game. I just think that Beckers is going to hoop. So give me Beckers over 16.5 points. And then my second play, this is my favorite play. I played this the other day in kind of a similar matchup or in the exact same matchup against this team. And I told you guys when we backed them previously, again, 5 games today. I don't have any thoughts right now on the Dream taking on the Mercury. That game is at 5 Central. If you guys want to, I will post some stuff later on the timeline if you want to get involved with that later tonight. I lean with Alicia Gray, her PR or her PRA, but I haven't fully labbed that game yet, so I'll have some information for you guys out later today. But I'm taking you to the Storm, taking on the Sparks. These teams played each other, like I said, a week ago. They played each other a couple times this season. I'm not overthinking this. This is my favorite play today. Give me Nneka Ogumnwoke, 24.5 points and rebounds. Now, again, I sold this when we talked about this game last time. She used to play for this team. She won a championship with this team. She was the MVP for the Sparks. She has a illustrious career, obviously now on the Seattle Storm. And every single time she plays against the Los Angeles Sparks, she absolutely cooks them. And then the last game when I took it, she had her career high in points. She had 37 points and 12 rebounds in that game. She's hit this line in 5 of her last 6 games against the Sparks. All of those games are 2 of those games were this season. She had 26 and 5 in the game previously. So this is a set it and forget it spot for me. If I see Nneka taking on the Sparks on the calendar, I just go ahead and auto bet it. If you want to take the points instead at 17.5 for a little bit of juice, that's fine too. But I want to rope in the rebound. She had 12 boards the last time they played. She's been good rebounding the basketball this season and in the last 5 games as well. So give me Nneka over 24.5 points and rebounds. Like I said, I'll have some more stuff out for you guys on the timeline a little bit later today, as there's a big slate today, but most of the games are this evening. So lean Alicia Gray in the Dream game. I don't really have any thoughts on the other game on the slate, and Nneka and Paige take me home. So there's some stuff for you guys in the WNBA. Chat's going crazy. Yeah, go exact. Let's go. Yep, that's a good one too. If you want to go with that skit, I like that as well. Rakia has been really, really good for the Sparks. The Sparks, I want to take Hamby once again as well. She burned me yesterday because the Sparks just forgot they had a game in the first half. I was out with Shags last night, guys. and we were, we had terrible service where we were, so we weren't really checking our phones as consistently, and we were trying to keep up with our bets, but also just hang out and stuff. And I had Derek Ahamby for 15.5 points. And don't you guys love when you take a prop for somebody and you look up at halftime and they ain't got no points, just a big old goose egg. 6 muted, but you got to unmute yourself, big dog.
I was gonna say, especially when it's the WNBA.
Yeah. Well, it happens in the NBA a lot too, but I looked. She ended up with 15, so she hooked me. So at least she got me a little bit closer. But I want to take her again today. It's a good matchup against the Storm. Should be a good game between these two teams looking to make a run to make the playoffs. Facts, Ron. But yeah, Neck is my favorite, 24.5 PR. And then if you want to roll with Paige, that game's at 3:00 this afternoon for a little bit of some afternoon action. So. All righty. Lots of stuff in the dub that got dropped in the chat as well. If you guys want to get involved with some stuff that Skip was saying, I will play the song for the subbing that we got as well, because the vibes are high to kick off this Sunday. Let's go. Appreciate you. Thanks for the sub. Move on.
So close. Back to Gruden breakdowns and things like that. Did you guys see he's got like a 3-hour video on the NFC South? It's 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of
football.
We're actually about to do, Suk and I are going to be jumping into the NFC and AFC South as the last form of our divisional preview videos on YouTube. That'll be up kind of the beginning of the week, so be on the lookout for that. Go check out all of our divisional previews we have on YouTube for all of them. We don't go as in-depth as John Gruden does and give you guys 3 hours of content for one division. But there's definitely some good
It's
vibes
basically there. SPJ updating you on teams, and then I tell you like a random anecdote. So if you like that, go check out the vids.
You'll love the videos. Go check them out. And I promise you, SPJ will not let Suk talk about the Bucks for 3 hours. I promise.
He will not let me talk about the Titans for 3 hours. We'll find out there as well.
Well, this is just a little bit of a
talk about the Titans,
huh? Just a little bit of
Sure.
Titans and Bucks.
Yep. Hey, we'll talk about that in just a second since they played yesterday. But don't get so excited, Sean Beasy. All right, which one of these? I want to put Nyeka in here. Do you guys want to do Paige as well and have it be a 4-legger, and then that'll be our parlay today?
Paige. Hooper.
Okay.
I like the Page play, 100%.
Okay.
Both.
Let's do it.
Right, let me get Nyeka pulled up here. Let me get Paige pulled up here. See what the odds we're gonna get, and then that will be our 4-legger today. Chat your saucy 4. You get it nice and early to get you rocking and rolling, and then we'll have some fun talking some football for the rest of the show. Where's Paige at? There she is.
The best
Adam
thing
Beckers
done so far is just getting our parlays out early, right? Because then we can just talk football for the last half of the show instead of talking random stuff for the first 30 minutes and then plays coming late.
Yeah, we could make it a 5-legger and put a preseason play in here, but with how good the Titans money line turned out yesterday, maybe let's avoid that.
I was a whole unit on the Panthers last night, so I don't want to play preseason football.
No, 2 nights ago, but
Last night just didn't happen in your brain, did it?
Oh yeah, Danny, if you didn't know, I had the spread on the Panthers for no reason. Didn't know why I did it. I did a full unit too.
Can I take a
second football?
Since I had
man.
Shadur Sanders, though? I mean, Shadur?
Hang on.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Hang on, boys.
Let him talk about it.
Hold your powder for a second. Jesus Christ. All right, Kyle Schwarber, 2 bases. Padres, money line. Nyeka, over 24.5 PR. Paige Beckers, over 16.5 points. That is plus 988 if you'd like to ride out with us on the 4-legger for the Saucy 4 today. Big vibes. We will post that on the timeline if you guys want to get involved. The baseball starts pretty early. Schwarber starts here in the next hour, 2 hours, and then the Padres go off this afternoon. So kind of like an all-day sweat. If you want to get involved with us and ride it out for some fun on this beautiful Sunday, there we go. All right, now we can talk some football. Now you can glaze Shedeur Sanders since we talked about it some yesterday, but you weren't on the show yesterday, so I'll let you talk a little bit about Shedeur. Kind of just preseason takeaways so far, boys, and then we'll jump in a couple games today.
He looked good to me. Like from what, the limited snaps that we saw, I think he had 138 yards, 14 of 23, 2 touchdowns, and SPJ, that 2 touchdown bet once again slapped. Thank you for that. That was nice. But
no worries.
He looked good. And I think he's going to be better than guys like Dylan Gabriel. Do I think he's going to start week 1? Absolutely fucking not. But I mean, as somebody who was saying that he might not have the biggest gains just because he hasn't had as many first team reps, it was nice to see him get out there and like play ball.
Yeah, we talked about it some yesterday that he, I wasn't surprised at how good he was, but like I don't really buy in as much as you have with this guy. And I mean, he definitely put enough on tape for where they have to go. Huh. All right, maybe we got to play this dude. Danny, what did you think about Shador? Or what did you think about some of the preseason we've been looking at over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, with Shador, it obviously makes for an exciting conversation in preseason and then heading into the regular season. He's going to be a topic of conversation in really any situation. That's just how it's been going with him. So it is fun to see. And the NFL will be a better place if he does turn out to be a really good quarterback. So that was fun to see. Just from a betting perspective in general, it's funny when you talk to people about the preseason because, naturally it has the stigma and people kind of like think you're crazy for betting the preseason. And to a certain degree, sure. But, a lot of people make their mark in the preseason because you can truly find an edge there if you really just, keep your ear to the grindstone there and hear what these coaches are saying and don't really overreact to the market too much. Like yesterday, for example, kind of just watching the game, it's great in game as well. Once you get an idea of how the tempo of these teams are looking and how many snaps these guys are going to get. Like I jumped in on the Jets. I laid a little bit of money, but fortunately I had some things go my way. It was right before that sack fumble into the touchdown, but there are great opportunities to be had. The first day too, that's where I took a few bets. And one of them was, Harbaugh. Everybody likes to bet Harbaugh. And that was part of it. But it was also crazy that they were catching 6 in the hook in that game because everybody thought with Richardson and Daniel Jones battling it out that warranted them being a 6.5 point favorite. Like, yeah, one of them they're going to be the starters, but they're also crappy quarterbacks. So I don't care if it's preseason or the regular season, they're still bad. It doesn't matter that one of them are going to be leading this team. It's not good for them regardless. So, seeing that huge spread, and then the Bengals were laying 6.5 just because Burrow and Chase were going to take a few snaps, and they did, and they got a touchdown, but you still have the rest of the game to where then 6.5 in that situation was too much. So, seeing that was just, again, the preseason is still a viable market as long as you do enough research and don't overreact too much. It's just still kind of one of my takeaways. I love betting the preseason, excited for today's game, and yeah, still think it's a really good market to attack.
That's also been real hot in the preseason. I will say that too, as he just pops up in chat. He's been killing the preseason with a lot of not only just his breakdowns, but a lot of these plays you'll get on the blue book, right? That aren't always available everywhere else, like some plus money, like the one you pitched on Shador, right? Tap in all over the place. There's definitely value to be found here in the preseason. And like Danny said, just find the edge and do a little bit of research, right? Like myself, I don't bet a lot of preseason, but I've been seeing a lot of you guys really kind of kill it this preseason so far.
Well, it's definitely one of those situations where you have you're getting an opportunity. We talked about this yesterday, some of these teams that maybe, because there's some teams like the Ravens and some teams like other teams, like I'm trying to think of some like the Bills, like those, like they're all their big time superstars. They're not going to play like pretty much at all. Whereas like you got these other teams, like some we saw yesterday, like the Jets, like you mentioned, Danny. Like I'm actually pretty excited to see what
Bucks fire the cannon.
Yeah, with the Bucks. Yeah, all right, relax. Like these teams that have like guys like Justin Fields, for example. Like I'm excited to see what Justin Fields is going to do up in for the Jets this year. Like obviously seeing Cam Ward yesterday come out and play decently, even though the Titans got railroaded by the Bucks near the end of that game. But like it's one of those situations you're getting to see all of these types of players come out and put some good stuff on tape, and you can find good angles to bet on, whether it's like you said, a spread that makes no sense. I mean, the Browns, they were dogs in that game, and they absolutely destroyed because Shador came out and played really well. So like you said, Danny, there's angles, but it's nice to see these guys, either rookies or guys that are going to be contributors on Sunday. Even if it's not the first Sunday, they're going to be contributors later in the season, that you're getting a chance to see some early stuff. Like we talked about yesterday with Trizzy. You guys should have seen how excited Trizzy was yesterday for talking about the Patriots, man. Travion Henderson looked awesome for that team. They looked really, really good. So they're going to be fun this year. So it's, I mean, even though it's the preseason and like, unless you're really hardcore following a specific team, you're probably not absolutely tuned in, but there's a lot of these guys out there. And as you said, there's lots of angles to take. Kind of leading off with that. Do you want to, or Suck, do you want to glaze your Bucks real quick? I'll give you a second now.
No glaze. I'm just happy the secondary looked good in the preseason. That was a big problem for us last year. So I'm not going to glaze the Bucks too hard for a win in the preseason against the Titans because they're not fully loaded for next year. They're definitely getting ready for like a full-on rebuild. So they're on two different ships. So I like your Titans, but I'm not going to be super happy about a preseason win against them.
Well, and it's again one of those situations where the Titans' first team offense played like 2 series, and then it was just a bunch of backups for the rest of the game. The Bucs didn't even play starters for any of the game for the most part, and that's pretty true.
And Baker keeps saying he's gonna play a series and then doesn't do it.
Well,
he's teasing us.
Well, Todd Bowles, you have to also kind of look at different coaches and what they're going to do too. Of like Todd Bowles doesn't really play a lot of starters in the preseason very often as well. So that adds into it too. But talking about some stuff today, hey Chef, man, that scramble for that touchdown yesterday was really nice from Fields.
Yeah, shout out Owen for calling that in the Chef's cord.
That was sick. All right, so let's talk about today a little bit. Danny, like you said, you've got your Bears coming on. They're taking on the Dolphins in Soldier Field. 1.5-point favorites are the Bears. What do you like in this game? What are you looking forward to watching with your boys today?
Yeah, so it's important to note that they've been having joint practices all week. So there is a trend where typically you want to aim toward unders when these teams have some familiarity all week, right? You've been playing against each other. You kind of get the idea of their offenses. And that is the way that I'm leaning. And even if there weren't the joint practices, I'd probably be erring toward that side anyways. But there was a 37.5 out there. So shop around and try to get that best number. But outside of the practices, I mean, look, the Bears defense is still their identity. And it's been reported all week throughout those practices that the Bears defense is just making the Dolphins offense look like fools out there. And Tua's been struggling, and not that we're expecting him to play, but how can you imagine then, their backup's going to do? I mean, what is it? Is it Zach Wilson's their backup, right? And then Quinn Ewers you got there, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be exciting to see what Ewers can produce out there in his first NFL game. But at the end of the day, this Bears defense, even with their reserves, they're dogs, and they've always been that way. Again, that's their identity, and they should be able to represent there at Soldier Field and limit that offensive damage. The flip side, it doesn't seem like the Bears starters are going to get that much action. So you're going to get a Tyson Bagent. You're going to get a Case Keenum. And Bagent is a very serviceable backup. With that being said, though, we also have to remember Ben Johnson coming in here and bringing a whole different playbook here on the offensive side that's going to be very dynamic. It's going to be all over the place, a bunch of different pieces. So it's going to be a learning curve for this Bears offense, presumably. We've already heard the struggles of Caleb Williams. So I imagine some of those are going to resonate with the backup quarterbacks. And it's just your first game in general. The total popped up a lot more than what it was earlier. So that's leading me to liking the under in this game. It's kind of, not that fun to watch preseason in the first place. It's probably even worse to sweat out an under for preseason. But that is the angle that I'm taking here, under 37.5 with the Bears and the Dolphins today.
Okay, nice, man. I mean, Shags did it one day and he sold the shit out of it, and all of them went over. And then yesterday we saw quite a few games kind of flip back the other direction. But like you said, it's the preseason, fun to take some kind of sprinkles. I mean, I don't usually bet full units on the preseason either, unless I'm really, really like something. It's more just like a half unit, quarter unit type of stuff. Just to throw a couple of odds out for you guys before we talk about the other game. Ewers, like you mentioned, Danny, to throw a touchdown pass on his first offensive drive, plus 550. That could be interesting. He's been really good in camp from all the things I've seen about him. Obviously a guy who, I don't think he's going to get a lot of playing time but as you know, man, Tua at any particular point could get hurt and then he's out for multiple games or even not the rest of the season if he gets one bad knock to the dome again. So they need to probably figure out what they got with Ewers. I know that the Dolphins have not looked very good in these joint practices from all the reports that we've seen. Mike McDaniels has not been very happy with some of the stuff that they've been doing in practice. So maybe they'll come out and play a little bit better. So just for a sprinkle, I think that Ewers to throw a touchdown pass on the first offensive drive could be interesting if he gets the ball cooking. Plus 550 could be fun as well. So any guys got any thoughts about this Bears game before we move on and talk about the other game?
Fooked Bears. That's it.
I feel the same way. Don't worry.
Jordan Love went 1 of 5 yesterday in the preseason, so all my Bears friends blew up my phone, obviously. So, fook the Bears. That's it.
Yeah, that's what you get. Any takeaways from your? I don't know. Did you watch anything with the Packers yesterday?
I didn't watch any of it. Like again, I don't put my stake in preseason at all, except for when it benefits a guy that I like Shador. You know what I mean? And that's it. Preseason, obviously, it has its place, and I think that it matters. And I wish that the Packers took yesterday's game a lot more seriously. head coach Matt LaFleur said it. He's like, it didn't look like anybody was out there to compete. And I think that's also why Love kind of saw such few snaps, right? He is a young quarterback who could use the snaps here at quarterback in the preseason. But I just think that he wasn't happy with the unseriousness that came with the starters from the get-go. And he's just like, yeah, fuck this. And he pulled the plug on it. But so I'd love to see some more seriousness from this team, despite this being the preseason. But I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and say preseason doesn't matter.
It's a fair way to take it if you want. I mean, I kind of feel the same way in a lot of aspects. But as I said, I like actually watching players more in the preseason versus the games. Like, I don't really care about the result of the game at all. Like, if a team loses or wins by 100, it doesn't move the needle for me. But like we've talked about with these like pop performances by particular players, especially rookies or guys that are looking to be depth pieces or even big time starters for teams. Like I was saying with Travion Henderson, Justin Fields yesterday. I really liked what Calvin Ridley did for the Titans. Like, I think I'm high on Ridley this season. I think he's going to be good this year. So you get to kind of see like a little
camp competition.
Yeah, like a tease of like some players of like, oh, this could be fun. And like, so you want to see that from guys going into these games. Again, the result of the game, a lot of it gets to the point where you got guys that aren't going to play on Sundays that are going to be in these games for a large portion of it. So it's more about just seeing the guys that you are going to play and how they put on tape and what they're looking at as well. So let's talk about the other game real quick, and then we'll finish off the show ranking our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks. We're going to keep with the theme of talking football today. Chargers, Saints. Saints are probably going to be terrible this year. We'll find out if that is not going to be the case or going to be the case. The Chargers coming in as 2.5-point favorites in this one. Not going to lie, boys, I have zero thoughts on this game. I have nothing to say about this one. Danny, did you have any thoughts on this game with this Chargers and Saints action going on?
Yeah, I'm taking the Chargers here minus $130 on the money line. They've already played a game there in that Hall of Fame spot, and we know that Herbert's not going to play. You got Trey Lance, you got Heineke, who know their roles, whereas on the other side, the Saints are a complete mess right now. New head coach in Kellen Moore. You got 3 quarterbacks battling for the number 1 spot, so essentially you have no quarterbacks. And then the Chargers with the Harbaugh idea, very competitive, solid defense. I think the Chargers have a pretty good spot here today against just a discombobulated Saints team.
A discombobulated Saints team is a really good way to describe what's going on in the Bayou right now. Yeah, as you said, 3 quarterbacks, you got none. There's a lot of, like, the Browns are in a similar situation. It might turn into one if you got a couple quarterbacks, you got no quarterbacks. So we'll see how that plays out for the Saints this year. Do you think that just to get your thoughts on this before we jump in and talk QBs, do you think they're going to be the worst team in football this year? Who's if you don't think the Saints, who's going to be your worst team in football? Chat, let us know what you guys think. Who you guys think is going to be the worst team in football? Could it be the Saints, or do you have another team in mind?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, Saints are going to be there. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be the Saints. I don't want to say it to, bring down the vibes on your end, but I'm not too high on your Tennessee Titans, unfortunately. That would probably be the next team in line that I would take a stab at. I mean, yeah, it's probably the Colts might be there too, honestly. The Colts are going to be pretty brutal this season.
The Titans and Colts have tough schedules.
Yeah.
Well, the Titans actually have the 4th easiest schedule, but we'll talk about that in the video.
I think the Giants have a really tough schedule if we're talking about just scheduling. Not only do they have to play that division 2 times each, right? But they've just got like an insane schedule right off the bat too. I think they have the Chiefs within the first 6 weeks and a little bit of a gauntlet just get right out of the gates. So they might have a tough season despite, adding Russell Wilson and year 2 for Malik Neighbors.
Danny, you're going to fit in just fine with all these guys slandering the Titans. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the team. No, I mean, we were the worst team of football last year, so it's easy low hanging fruit. But I think the Saints are going to be terrible. I really do. I think that Alvin Kamara might get traded before the trade deadline if they're truly bad, and because he is a really elite player still, and like he could go compete on a team to possibly win a Super Bowl at the trade deadline if they are 2-6 or 1-7, or even maybe they haven't even won a game at that point. So I think the Saints are pretty bad. Unfortunately, Owen, I don't think the Browns are going to be very good either. But who knows, man? Maybe Shador does actually get a start earlier on in the season if Flacco doesn't.
He looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, so I don't know. I do think that there's going to be. It's interesting though, because a lot of these teams that we're talking about that are going to be bad, like I do think there's a possibility for a lot of teams to be frisky in comparison. But there are a few teams where you look and go, yeah, that team's going to probably suck. So We'll find out if any of our watch all these teams be incredible this year, and all of our predictions are just so we'll find out. All right, let's tap this off and let's rank our top 10 quarterbacks going into this year in fantasy. Let's not talk about bad play. Let's talk about good play now. Let's talk about 10 quarterbacks that we think that are top of the list in the fantasy department. Help us out, Chad, as we are going to be ranking these guys. Fantasy football right around the corner. I'm sure you guys are getting into the mock draft minds. We're going to be doing our fantasy league at Betting News. We have 3 leagues, actually. We have all of us up here that'll be battling it out. And then chat, let us know of all of us here at Betting News who you guys think is going to take home the crown. It was Betsky last year, and everybody's coming for Betsky's neck this year. And then we have a chat league, and then we have a second chat league. So if you want to play in our fantasy league, feel free to get involved with us as well. It's going to be fun to be able to hear you guys talk shit to each other all season long in the fantasy department. So
I can tell you one thing. I'm not winning. I fucking suck at fantasy. It's been like this for a long time. Part of it is just drafting poorly and getting too high on guys I think are going to be great. And then part of it is lineups and setting those lineups.
Yeah, you need to remember to do that this year.
Yeah,
that's going to be important. Okay. All right, let's rank our top 10 quarterbacks. Again, chat, help us out. Let us know what you guys think. So this is literally what we're expecting this season. So going into this year, who we think is going to be the top tier of fantasy quarterbacks. Where do you guys want to start?
I feel like start with the guy who caught a touchdown last season, the one QB to have a receiving touchdown. Josh Allen.
Okay.
What do you guys think? You guys think maybe Lamar instead?
I had Josh Allen over Lamar as well, so I like that.
I can get behind that. I know qualms about that.
I can get behind that too. Also, maybe he gets year 2 of Keon Coleman, maybe get a little more offensive prowess as well in the passing department, but you get always the end.
Year 2 of Haley Steinfeld.
Also, year 2 of Haley Steinfeld, the recently married narrative as well. That might help too. All right, so Josh Allen, number 1. No arguments there. Do we go Lamar too? Do we even need to talk about it?
Ooh, Danny V. Lamar?
Burrow? I don't know.
Ooh.
Like Burrow fantasy wise, just he's got T. Higgins, he's got Jamar Chase. We saw it in the preseason already, what they were able to do.
The only reason why Burrow doesn't climb the list of Lamar for me is because Burrow does just not run. Like you're not going to get any rushing yards from him, maybe like a couple rushing touchdowns, but like he doesn't bring you anything in the rushing department. And in fantasy, obviously that's really valuable. So that would be my argument for Lamar over Burrow. Danny, what do you think?
I would agree with Lamar over Joe. And, if we're expecting Cincinnati to flip some of those games around that they had this past season, they're probably not going to be trailing as much, thus not padding Joe Burrow's stats to play keep up. Now, with that being said, I do like him in the 3 spot, but because of the added extra spot of Lamar being able to scramble, still staying in late in those games where they're leading, that's the extra dynamic to it. So that's why it's a slight bump to Lamar over Burrow for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also, I still can't believe that his rushing yards was 750.5. So I think he's going to have yet another good year running the ball. All right, now we can have these. This is when it's going to get very interesting because
Baker.
Can we kick Slick off the panel?
Yeah, he's going to kick himself soon. I mean, what I was going to say is you got a couple of other guys who historically are great fantasy quarterbacks that maybe you don't think enter into the top 5 of like overall quarterbacks of like Jalen Hurts because of the tush push. Like he's going to get you a lot of rushing yards. He's going to get you a lot of touchdowns, and that's going to win you some weeks in fantasy. Joe Burrow, obviously, with how good he was last year. Jaden Daniels is another name just because of his running ability. Where do you guys want to go? I'm down to put Joey B here. I think he's going to be incredible once again this year, and he's going to get you probably 4,500 yards and a lot of touchdowns. So I'm down.
Yeah, I'm okay with Joey B at 3.
All right, let's go Joe Burrow then.
You down with Joey B there, Danny?
Yep, that's who I like for 3.
Where do you guys have Jaden Daniels on this list? Like, I know he was a great QB last year, but like fantasy-wise, do we think he's, especially with the whole Terry McLaurin situation, and then we're sitting here like, what is this offense going to look like next year with Deebo Samuel as your wide receiver 1?
I'm kind of low on him. You guys? Like, I'm low on the Manders in general.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I feel like they really excelled last season, and we saw the similar thing with the Texans. CJ Stroud had an insane rookie season, but you get some tape on the guy, you get some snaps under yourselves and everything. It feels like maybe a little bit of regression coming. I definitely don't have him in the top like 6 in terms of fantasy QBs, I think. But what are you guys thinking? Am I crazy?
It makes sense to me. I'm kind of bearish on him as well. I mean, they certainly exceeded expectations last year. I think the comparison to CJ Stroud's a really good one. The only other side of that is obviously just his ability to scramble and improvise, create plays on his own. So that's why I would still have him in the top 6, but at the same time, I would absolutely be open to the argument of keeping him out. It's not like a hill I'm willing to die on, but in general, I am a bit lower than I think the public is perceiving this Commanders team and Jaden Daniels to be.
I think my opinion will change if they get Terry McLaurin signed. If he's able to figure out a deal to stay in Washington, then that does. But he does run, and that is, again, in fantasy, just to bring this back to the fantasy conversation, it's like you're going to get probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns, maybe more, depending on how. And if the offense is a little bit more disjointed with no McLaurin, he is going to have to, as you said, Danny, scramble some more, make some plays on the ground, and even if he does hit with a little bit of regression in comparison, like Stroud it is a good comparison, but like Stroud doesn't really run. Like he is a decent runner, but he's more of a pocket passer, whereas Daniels is a good pocket passer, but he's also got that Josh Allen, Lamar in him of, he can get out of the pocket and he can scoot. So I think Daniels top 5 for me for sure. I don't know if he might be 5 or 6, but I think I'd go Hurts over him though, because of the fact that Eagles are going to be good again, and Hurts is probably going to again score 10 to 15 touchdowns purely off the tush push. You guys down to go Hurts here? Do you guys have a thought on somebody else at 4?
I think I'm good with Hurts.
I can go Patty here.
Yeah, I would lean right Patty, after. But yeah, I'm open to either one. But I like the fact that, the Chiefs just got absolutely embarrassed in the Super Bowl. You get a little chip on your shoulder from this Kansas City team, which, when you're as good as them, you got to figure out some excuse to have motivation the following year, and they have theirs now. And, maybe they get back to a bit more of the traditional offense and let them sling it just a tad bit more, relatively speaking. So that's me. But again, I'm completely open to Jalen Hurts. I get the argument for him, so I'm fine with either one.
Shags is going to spawn in here and say it should be a Mahomes.
It should be.
But from a fantasy perspective, he was winning games last year. They definitely
I know, but you suck so bad at fantasy, I can't listen to you at all.
Okay, but see, pull up the numbers. Pull up Patty's numbers last year in terms of what QB did he finish as, right? He didn't get any like brand new shiny weapons. Travis Kelce is a year older. Maybe he looks better this season, but I don't know. Jalen Hurts has the weapons. A.J. Brown is one of the best wide receivers. If you're going back the last 3 seasons, he is competing with guys like J.J. and guys like Jamar Chase. He has more touchdowns than Justin Jefferson. He has more receiving yards than Jamar Chase. He has been the absolutely elite, and his QB is Jalen Hurts. I know we give him a lot of shit for not maybe throwing the ball as much, but he's still pretty elite when it comes to tossing the ball. And he's got the best weapons of anybody, maybe outside of Joe Burrow.
Well, and again, you've got to this team is going, if everything goes to plan in Philadelphia, this team's going to be really good again. And they have a really good defense. They're probably going to score a lot of points, and Hurts is going to get them down to the 1-yard line. And I don't care that they said they're going to do more Saquon Barkley handoffs. They ain't going to do that. They're going to push that guy into the end zone again and again and again. But I'm down to do Hurts and then Mahomes. I can get down with Mahomes at 5 if you guys want to do that.
And then maybe Jaden Daniels, I guess.
Do we because it's fantasy? Do we put Daniels above, just because of the rushing?
Oh man, I don't. I honestly, it's yeah.
I think we do.
Danny, what do you think?
I personally would have Mahomes, but again, if I get outvoted, that's completely fine. I get, and I'm willing to take the smoke. I get it. He's a mobile quarterback. I am kind of in the camp of thinking he'll regress. I think V had a very good, argument for what's to be expected out of Washington and Daniels and McLaurin. Realistically, he'll get it figured out. It's not as much that. It's just, again, having the game film on him. And yeah, he's going to have explosive games, but consistency, I think, I just give the slight edge to Mahomes. But again, we got it typed down there. That's fine. Don't have to make you do extra.
Oh, it
work.
could,
we can change it. We can change
it. Can
it.
get deleted and moved.
I think I'm more down for Mahomes and then Jaden Daniels. The more I sit here and think about the other QBs, the more I feel like that maybe not top 6 comment was crazy. But I do think he's going to be good. He had 8 rushing touchdowns last year, over 800 yards on the ground. He's got to be good. And if there is no Terry, maybe he just gets out there to scamper a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can roll with this. I feel like the arguments will happen either way of how we can move either one of these guys. I think Daniels probably should be there because of the rushing, but no, leave it, Sook. Leave it.
Leave it?
Yeah, leave it. Patty's fine. I do think Mahomes is going to come out and play like crazy this year because of what happened, because of the competitive nature in him. And as Shax has talked about, that pass catching group is the best he's dealt with in maybe Mahomes' entire career as a Chief, even though they're not going to have what the name just totally left my brain on who's missing some time. Is it Rasheed Rice? Yeah, Rice. So, all right, top 6. There we go. Now this is when it starts to get. I'd be down to put Baker here. Sook, I know you joked earlier, but I mean, I think Baker's going to have another good season for the Bucs. He's going to be slinging it all over the place. Over 4,000 yards last year, lots of touchdowns. I could see that again. A couple of. Yeah.
Right. You got the things I think about Emeka Egbu. I'm not even.
Come on. You can do it. What's his name?
I don't even know. But yeah, he looks fantastic. And then Chris Godwin's coming back this season as well, right? So the receiving core is fantastic. Bucky Irving has shown a lot in the pass catching game and out of the backfield too. I feel like maybe Baker should be here in the 7th spot, especially because he doesn't run, but he's capable of running. And
he runs. His
over 10.5 rushing yards last year was free as air all the time.
Have you seen those stiff arms, my guy?
Danny, what do you think? Are you down to put Baker here? Or did you have somebody else in mind?
I'm okay with putting Baker there because of how easy the division is. If the division was a little bit more difficult, I think people are maybe a little bit too high on Baker Mayfield and kind of, sorry, Sook. Look, the Bucs are going to be great. They're going to win the division. Don't get me wrong. But from a fantasy perspective, we're also like last week, we were talking about Bucky Irving. I mean, that's going to be a guy who's a huge part of this offense, and I could see him being a touchdown vulture once they get to the red zone as opposed to Baker Mayfield more so. So that is my hesitancy, and I know I'm going to get crap for saying this, and rightfully so potentially, but there's something in the back of my mind. I can't quit this guy. I would gravitate a little bit toward Kyler Murray over him. I think that offense actually might be pretty decent this year. I know he looked awful with that throw yesterday and everything, but relax. It's preseason, everybody. You can't forget about Kyler Murray. Mobile, if he gets hot, man. I mean, this guy is explosive. We've seen it.
Miniature. Mobile,
he is, and I'm a short guy myself, so maybe that's why I got love for him. But yeah.
How tall are you, Danny?
I'm 5'7", so I'm a short guy here. I'm a short Irishman, so
I didn't know you our friend Betsky's like 5'6", so yeah, I did not know you were 5'7".
Yeah, so when you see me in person for the first time, now you won't be as surprised. So
I would not have guessed you're 5'7". So, but hey, you're taller than Sook. Yeah, exactly. I like Kyler. I don't know if I want to put him over Baker necessarily.
That's
but
fair.
I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be really good this year. I'm pretty high on him. I know a lot of our friends in the chat are from some other shows and things like that are pretty high on the cards. I've got some win totals and thinking that he's going to, yeah. That's what everybody thinks about Betsky too. And then you meet Betsky and it's obviously not that, but Betsky's full of
aura. It's the aura.
It's the aura. It's the aura for sure. It's the benefit of working in these situations, chat. You don't know how tall we are specifically. Right. All right, so I can get the Kyler argument. I can get down with Baker. There's a couple of other names I'll throw out to you guys because we got to round out this list with the last 3 here. So Bo Nix is a name that could get floated in here if you believe in the Broncos and his rushing ability as well. Kyler, obviously, like you said, Danny. You've got Dak Prescott's of the world. Justin Fields with his rushing ability. If you think
Justin Fields, man, and he's back playing with his boy Garrett Wilson again. I'm just saying,
Justin Fields is a top 10 quarterback.
Come on,
a top 10 QB. Come on, like a top 10 fantasy QB in terms of his ability. I don't know, man.
No, come on, you're a Packers fan. You've watched this guy play. Come on.
Justin Fields is no longer a Bear. I'm a firm believer.
It doesn't matter. Fields can't throw. I love the guy, but he can't throw. I mean,
you got the Staffords of the world. You've got Drake May maybe taking a step.
Mhm.
Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert.
Yeah, don't forget about
Caleb
Herbert.
Herbert.
Goff, even not terrible. He was a little
Goff
annoying
has
last
to
year,
be top
but with the
10.
running back situation, I wouldn't have him there, but it's worthy of a conversation. CJ Stroud could have a bounce back year,
True.
unless this is
Stafford,
just
he's
who
got-
CJ is.
I mean, you just added Stafford. You just added Devontae Adams to a Stafford-led offense. You've got Puka Nacua on that side too. He's probably going to put up a fair share of touchdowns this year.
Mhm.
I like Bo
All right.
Nix. I think Bo Nix has some like a lot of fantasy value in this situation. We
I
saw
like Bo Nix, but I feel like it's insanity to put him top 10.
I agree.
You
I mean, on
guys
paper
wanna-
it makes sense, but yeah, it just feels wrong for some reason putting him there.
Yeah, there's like other dudes with way better resumes, and it's not like I don't think that he's gonna build a proper resume. It's just like in year 2, we're gonna put him top 10. Baker has gone through so much, the poor guy.
we got Baker.
Baker's solidified. What are we talking about?
He's
son?
on 7,
Like,
dude. It's okay. We've moved
nobody's
on from
touching
Baker.
Baker.
I'm just saying.
So, but this is, again, don't forget, this is how this guy's going to do this year. So yeah, you got to rope into what they've done previously, right? But you've also got to look at some of the situations. A lot of people very high on the Broncos. Cortland Sutton is a guy that gets overlooked a lot. Bo Nix also has the rushing ability. So it's weird though, guys. I actually didn't even think of him top 10 when we were thinking about doing this. ESPN, which, grain of salt obviously with ESPN, but they have him at 7.
I know. I saw that. That was crazy to me.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty
crazy.
That's wild, man. And then pretty across the board 7. Like everyone kind of was had him at 7, which is pretty whack to me.
Mm-mm.
Over
I'm
Baker.
Kyler Murray. I will say this, just because Danny did bring him up, I feel like he has shown us why he struggles. He hasn't really gotten better in those facets of his game. He struggles to see over the line of scrimmage. I'm never going to let that go. I know, I'm sorry. But it's just like, how many times can you just throw the ball up into the air and hope it comes down to your receiver? There's only one Russell Wilson out there, and it's hard for me to believe that Kyler Murray is going to do that exact same thing, especially just because
Hey, Marvin Harrison Jr. loves fade routes. Check out our video to preview the AFC, and we talked about this.
Trey McBride also coming off a fantastic year last year. James Conner's underrated, but Kyler also has the rushing ability. And again, with fantasy, regardless of how you feel about guys and winning games and how they perform and all that jazz, like Kyler's going to scramble. He's going to get you some touchdowns probably. So from a fantasy perspective, I think he's got to be on this list, top 10 for sure. I don't know where we put him at 8 or 9 or even 10, but I think Kyler definitely deserves to be on this list. Well, if we're going to put him at 10, who do we put above him? Maybe Justin Herbert, maybe Goff.
Herbert's also in an offense that's going to run the ball as shit.
Yeah.
He only had 20 touchdown passes last season, right? Like he was efficient. He didn't throw a lot of interceptions, but I think he had 23 touchdowns last year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was an offense that really relied on the run game. They signed Najee Harris this offseason as well because they want a little bit of a bulldozing running back, even though he might not play week 1. He probably won't. I do think that this is a Harbaugh offense that is now looking to run the ball and ram it down your throats and then have Herbert be Herbert, but it just might not be at the same volume that we've come to expect.
You've also got the situation with the Slater injury. He's going to miss the entire season, so that offensive line now is completely shaken up. Apparently, Joe Alt's going to go play left tackle again, and then they brought in somebody to play right tackle because of not having Slater for the entire season. They did bring in Keenan Allen to help on that offense, so that will – I actually really like that move. I think that's going to be a sneaky guy you could maybe draft back into a roster, even pick him up in waivers because Keenan Allen has a great rapport with Justin Herbert, but different offense when he was there in comparison. Like you said, this is a team that definitely wants to ground and pound you and beat you in the trenches and then have Justin Herbert play action you and beat you in those situations with Ladd McConkey, et cetera. So I don't know if he has top 10 value because of what you just mentioned. The talent's there, obviously. That's been the case with Herbert his entire career, but maybe the offensive system will hold him back. What do you think, Danny?
I agree. I absolutely love Herbert. I think he's arguably, in the top 4 conversation of quarterbacks just based on that talent. And, the whole narrative around him is everybody makes excuses for him, but there is some validity to that. And then, with Harbaugh being there, it's a very conservative type of offense. So from a fantasy perspective, unfortunately, the value isn't really there. I think he should be at 10 and Murray ahead of him because of the dynamic ability that Murray has as opposed to Justin Herbert. But I do think that Herbert is worthy of being in the top 10. Yeah, it's just unfortunately he's not the best fantasy type of guy. He'll give you some great games for sure, but you know, they're not a high-powered offense. They're going to grind you down. They're going to, you know, run up that clock, and you know, that's going to hurt him in that capacity, especially in the games where they get that lead early. So that's not really going to help him pad the stats to whereas, you know, they're going to be winning more games than the Cardinals, who are going to be trailing and need to throw it more and everything. And it's not that I'm just trying to turn this into a whole Kyler Murray thing, but
Kyler Murray's staying over here. I see.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, you know, Herbert, I think, is more at that 10 spot, but I think he does deserve to be in the top 10. But you guys all make great points. I mean, that's who he is. That's how the offense operates.
What if we left Herbert in the 11th spot, not on the list, and we would talk about Jared Goff? Because this offense, like as good as they've been, Amon Ross, St. Brown, you've got Jameson Williams too, and like we saw how fucking good he looked last season. It feels like the weapons are there. It's a high-powered offense. They're favored to win the division. Probably going to be playing with the lead a majority of the time, but it's hard to ignore the numbers he's put up in the last couple of years in Detroit. What do you guys think about Goff?
So how much is that Goff, though, and how much of that was Ben Johnson's offense? That's going to be the big question, though. I mean, there are still a ton of weapons, and I do like Goff, but we do have to take that into account, I think, is the thing that's a bit scary with him.
Goff has claimed, and obviously this is not something I could stand by, but like, he has claimed in the Netflix documentary that he did a lot of play calling himself. So we'll see how it plays out this year.
It's going to be interesting to say the least. That whole like thing about watching the Bears and Ben Johnson now in a head coaching role, seeing this Lions team without Ben Johnson and without their defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. I'm really excited to watch. Hopefully both teams kind of just collapse this year. Hopefully.
I do think that that's going to be the biggest question mark going into the season. But for value, like he should still, because of the weapons, Laporta, Gibbs. I mean, because Gibbs, we think of Gibbs in the running department, obviously, but Gibbs catches so many swing passes and can take him to the house. And that's, you know, what is that, like 70 passing yards on a 2-yard pass that Goff gets and a touchdown pass. So like he has so many opportunities for yak ability with this offense. And as you mentioned, Danny, even though Ben Johnson isn't there, I think when we covered this team in our divisional breakdown video too, like it seems like they're just going to run the same offense. Like the offensive coordinator is just going to do the same stuff. It'll be a little different, bringing in his own flavors, but should be relatively the same. The thing I would say is we could do Goff here or Stafford. I think either one of those guys would be guys you'd feel comfortable drafting. And then maybe Kyler moves up and one of those guys goes at 10. And then we kind of cap it there. Because I agree with you, Danny. I think Kyler should be 9 purely off the running ability for fantasy. And then we go either Stafford, Goff, or we figure out how we want to do that. How you guys feel about
Stafford's health concern you guys at all now?
Yeah, it does for sure.
Yeah, just because like it being a back issue, his age, it's a disc issue. It's something that could flare up at any point during the regular season. I could see maybe
SPJ side piece, boys. You got to be careful when you talk about that.
It is a legit concern, though.
But I do think that maybe Kyler moving up and then Herbert slated in at 10, maybe. I don't know, but who else?
Sorry, I was just going to say the thing with Stafford too. You have Kyron Williams, who's going to be kind of like with the Baker and Bucky Irving type of thing. I think that's going to happen with Kyron. Like we were talking about, Kyron Williams. You know, he's last week when we were doing the running backs. I think obviously he has a lot more value than the Stafford, who kind of flatlined last year. I mean, you're only getting maybe like 15 points a game from him on average. To where I may be a bit more bullish. Like CJ Stroud probably has he definitely has a higher ceiling than Stafford this
fantasy wise.
Yeah, fantasy-wise, for sure. So I think, and based on the youth and his ability to stay out there, I would give an edge to like a CJ Stroud over Stafford. But I don't hate the Stafford conversation. I think people are overlooking him in general more than they should be.
I can get down with maybe the Stroud conversation. Now, you guys are going to not like this, but I'm going to throw this name out there because I just got a feeling in my stones, man, that Dak Prescott's going to go crazy this year. And I think Dak's going to get overlooked a lot. This guy was one of the best fantasy quarterbacks like 2 or 3 years ago before he got hurt. And then he obviously got the bag thrown at him and then got hurt. But when this guy's rolling with CD on offense, this guy can put up some points. So I don't know if he's worth top 10 conversation, but I do think that Dak, we could look at the end of the season. And if he has another, 30 plus touchdown year, he could be in that conversation as well. So Just saying, I want it on record that I think that Dak might be good this year for the Cowboys. But if he's not, don't come at me and flame me for this take.
I'm only a little bit hurt by the lack of Jordan Love conversation, but I understand.
Sure.
I understand.
He ain't top 10, dog.
I'm only a little bit hurt. I said I understand. Okay.
He can't run.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's move Kyler to 9. I think we can all agree on that at least. And then, I mean, we can go Herbert 10. What about Brock Purdy? That's another person we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, I don't like Purdy, to be honest. I don't think he's a great QB. I think he's like good. I think he's like an Alex Smith type of good QB. He's gonna win you games, probably get you into the postseason. But is he like these guys that are gonna give you those 35-point fantasy games or like those 30-point burgers that win you your week? I don't feel like he is. You know, I think a Bo Nix could possibly. You got some weapons out there, maybe, right?
Please God no. Not
hey, look, you put me on the Bo Nix train last year. I can't believe you've hopped off this quickly.
No, this is like the Collier thing with the Jazz. I have not hopped off. I like them. They're good, but let's have a good temperament. Like, let's not put them.
Have you heard the way Sean Payton's talking about this guy? Like, I understand you got to hype up your QB, but he's played and coached some elite QBs, you know, and he really loves Bo Nix and everything that he's brought.
Obviously, he's gonna gobble up his current QB. Obviously, he has to. There's no other choice.
I mean,
all right. So we have possibly Nix. We have possibly Herbert. We have Danny. What's your thoughts on Caleb Williams going into this year?
Ooh. Yeah, I was waiting for someone to bring that up. I was holding my thoughts because I didn't want to get screamed at, especially by V. Here's the thing: everybody is freaking out about Caleb Williams. I already went on a rant about this last week. The guy's got a target on his back since day one, being one of the highest, highly touted quarterbacks in the past 20 years. You have to remember with Caleb Williams, he got brought into an organization that has never had a franchise quarterback, and his head coach was Matt Eberflus, the biggest doofus in the entire National Football League. And then you went through multiple offensive coordinators. Like, it was obvious Shane Waldron, that block had nothing going for him. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was certainly the better choice, but everyone thought because he was a bad head coach that would translate to being a bad offensive coordinator. But it's a completely different ballgame when you're calling plays versus when you're doing both. So my point being is that Caleb Williams is going to take a step forward. Loveland, who they just brought on, is going to be a great tight end addition alongside Cole Kmet. You still have great receivers, and you have a tougher schedule, sure, but that just means, again, the Bears are going to be playing from behind. You have another year of experience with Caleb Williams, who will be able to develop and hopefully now also scramble for more touchdowns. I don't think he got a rushing touchdown because my buddies and I were always betting it because he's scrambling everywhere else except by the red zone. But I think that'll change. And then just in general, he is going to take that step forward. It's going to be a little rusty at first with that new offense, but slowly I think we will see his fantasy value very much increase toward the latter half of this season. So is he top 10? No, let's be honest. Let's not go crazy, but I think he'll definitely be top 15 when it's all said and done.
I mean, ESPN has him 12. He had a lot of passing yards last year. A lot of it was him running for his life and just trying to sling it. But there were games where he was throwing it all over the place. So from a fantasy perspective, whether that's going to lead to Bears wins, I don't know. But he's going to put up some stats.
I mean, you know who had more touchdowns than both Caleb Williams and Justin Herbert last year in fewer games? Jordan Love. Right? 32 touchdowns the year prior. And a playoff team, 11 wins last season. I'm just saying, man, everybody wants to talk about everybody else, but Jordan Love has been doing it, and he's doing it without a wide receiver 1. He's got 3 wide receiver 2s and 2 wide receiver 4s. That's what he's been playing with. Matthew Golden coming into this offense. This Green Bay offense is going to pass the ball a lot more this year just because of the receiving core they have. There's so many receivers. They are switching them to cornerback. Bo Melton is now on the other side of the ball. The depth is there. This team is going to be good. And this is a guy who threw 32 touchdowns in his first year as a starter, boys. Come on. A little bit of respect. He went to the playoffs and won.
I'm not disrespecting him.
Cowboys on the road in a rebuilding year.
Okay, so because V gone unhinged a little bit, I'll get unhinged a little bit. What about Rodgers? Young O-line. He's got some weapons. He's got some backs. Top 10 fantasy? No, he was, I think, 11th last year. He was up there.
I could see it. I don't want him to if we put him on our list, we might get people unfollowing us left, right, and center.
Let him unfollow.
Sure. Well, if we're getting unhinged, Cam Ward top 10. Come on now.
No,
No. How do we feel about this? How do we feel about just putting Herbert here at 10? Even though with the system not being 100%, we know that the Chargers are probably going to compete. Still got Donkey McConkey. Still got Keenan Allen coming to town. Herbert's going to do enough in comparison to if you had to choose who you're drafting, right? Thinking about it this way, between Herbert, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix, and I don't know, or Jordan Love, I guess, for V if you want, but
I'd go Herbert.
And CJ Stroud. I'd take Herbert, all those guys, right?
I wouldn't, but maybe I'm in the minority here. Like Nix had 29 touchdowns last season. He was in his rookie year on a Broncos offense that didn't even look that good. Herbert had 23 and he played the entire season. I'm just saying from a purely fantasy perspective, Herbert could be the better QB, but 29 touchdowns in your rookie season, right? Versus 23 touchdowns in year 4, right? The offense just isn't tailored to a pass-first offense. And if we're talking just purely fantasy, I'm down to throw Herbert on here and see what the people on the timeline feel, though. See if they're in agreement that maybe some of these young kids like Bo Nix should get a look, even Jordan Love. Or if I know a lot of people are high on Herbert, and I feel like I'm in the minority on this one.
Well, no, I actually like the argument you're making for Nix. I think that he could. I'd be down. I can get down with that if we want to go Nix instead, purely off upside. Danny, what do you think? Break the tie. You want to go Herbert or do you want to go Nix?
Oh, this is a terrible question. I hate this. Because I like what Suk was saying too. Like, it's just something about Bono. Like, I totally get where everybody's coming from with Nix, but I just feel like he's not going to have that consistency again this year. And again, having the tape on him and what the Broncos want to do and everything. I am leaning towards CJ Stroud. I mean, he would probably be my guy. I love Herbert. V makes excellent points about Herbert and his lack of fantasy value. He's certainly the safest option out of the bunch. But again, I think the higher ceiling would belong to then the Knicks or the Stroud. And I would probably gravitate a bit more towards Stroud. I know that's not breaking the tie. So I'll go with Herbert.
That's throwing a wrench in the plan, Danny. That's not breaking the tie.
I know. I'll lean a little bit toward Herbert over Bo Nix.
I kind of like the wrench. I feel like I could lean that way outside of Bo Nix and Justin Herbert. What do you boys think?
I've seen. Let's just go wrench. I can get down with Stroud here. I think he had his sophomore slump last year. I mean, Nico Collins could be a top 5 wide receiver in football this year if that connection continues to cook. So even though I hate the Texans, I'm kind of low on the Texans as a whole, but CJ Stroud should have a good season. So I can get down with Stroud.
I was very surprised with how high Shaggy was with Nico. I was very surprised. But
Nico made him a lot of money.
Shaggy knows ball. Shaggy knows ball.
And when you look at the numbers, because with Nico, it's a lot of injury stuff that's kept him off the field. But when he's on the field, he plays at a top 5 level, and it's insane to see. It's unfortunate Tank Dell won't be around again this year, but this Texans offense still looks good. You got Joe Mixon out of the backfield that's been moving the ball, doing a lot more pass catching too in here in Houston than he did in Cincinnati. I like what I'm seeing from this team. And like you said, SPJ, sophomore slump may be over, right? It's time to get into year 3 and get back to winning.
Dalton Schultz, tight end, underrated. Yeah. All right, Daniel. Well, good job getting the wrench in there. It's made it number 10. So good W wrench, literally. All right, there you go, chat. There's our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks. We argued about the last few spots, which was to be expected. Quarterbacks is tough to rank because it's wide receivers and running backs are a little bit easier, I think, to kind of identify the top ones. Whereas quarterbacks, even though this is the crazy part of this too, you always forget the quarterback position is one of the highest scoring point totals, and yet people don't draft them that early unless that's your strategy. But like,
I was going to say that,
Lamar Jackson.
I was going to say that. Like, I'm the type of guy in fantasy, I will reach for a quarterback. I will do it.
I mean, there are going to be people this year that
there's a numbers thing. They're called onesies. So positions that only fill one slot, like a tight end, a quarterback, or a kicker, right? And depending on how many roster spots you have, if you're doing a 7 roster spot, like a 7 starter league, I think it's about, the math works out to about 21% comes from onesies. Whereas when you add 9 to your starting spots, which is like more, I would say, common amongst most fantasy leagues, it goes down to about 13% and how much they matter. Myself, I am in a 1 league where it's 2 QB super flex league, and shit is fucking insane. There's no QBs on the waiver wire whatsoever. Like, there's just none. You can't stream for shit.
There's this drafting strategy for me, which I've kind of tried to employ over the last few years. Instead of taking the value player, like if you already have a couple wide receivers, but there's a wide receiver that you just love that's there available, like you could do that, or you can take the best available at the other to fill your roster, right? Like best quarterback, best running back, best wide receiver, best tight end. Because at the end of the day, you got to have all those positions roll out to trot out every single week, versus a guy that you just love that you think is going to explode. And like, I think this year I'm going to go into it going, I'm just going to try to take the best player in each position that I can at that particular round. If Josh Allen's available to me near the back half of the first round and I don't like the other wide receivers or running backs staring me in the face right at that point, I might take Josh Allen, because Josh Allen could win you your league based on being QB1 again, you know? So it's interesting to talk strategy about this too, boys, as we're getting closer and closer to drafting soon. Excited to have Danny in the league too this year, because I know you played a lot of fantasy, Danny, before, and I think it's going to be fun to have you mixing in there to see what your strategy is going to be. You don't have to tell us too much because we don't want to tip your scale, but
tell us everything. I need to.
Yeah, give us all the nuggets. Exactly. Give us all the nuggets.
No, look, I'm pumped to join. Yeah, I'm the little I mean, I'm definitely a wait for the quarterback. I'm never a first round quarterback guy. I don't care who it is, and I certainly lean a little bit more toward getting a receiver as opposed to a running back. However, this year may be a little bit different, because I think, obviously it depends where you're drafting. But again, going back to when we were talking about the top running backs, like there's going to be value with some of those deeper guys in the first round or early second round, like a Chase Brown type of guy who may come and be a really big contributor. And then obviously Bucky Irving's going to get propped up a bit, but those type of guys who aren't your traditional big name dudes, I think you can pair it if you have that late first round pick with a top receiver, and then still see a lot of value with those type of running backs who may not be the traditional top 5 that we've been accustomed to. But certainly think, quarterback is more often than not a top priority for fantasy, because where you're making the big bucks is with those top running backs, with those top receivers. And then honestly, drafting a top tight end in this day and age in the NFL earlier than you would traditionally do is what also helps out a lot with these teams. So, I mean, we saw it with, Brock Bowers. We saw it with Trey McBride. I mean, those guys are huge. And then Loveland coming to the Bears is going to be a sneaky tight end who I think is going to see a lot of value too. So come on, V, you're going to end up with him, baby. You're going to get on the Loveland trade. But yes,
he's going to draft Matthew Golden in the second round. I know
he is. He 100% is.
I think it's for quarterbacks. For me, I either draft if I'm in second round or something and Lamar is available and I don't love who I'm looking at wide receiver and running back, and if I got who I liked maybe early on, I'll think about it. But if I'm not getting one of those two, if I'm not getting Lamar or Josh Allen early, I'm waiting, and I'll take like Stafford, and then I'll just wait to see who's cooking in the season, because there's always going to be those couple of quarterbacks that just go off and that are available on waivers, and like you're going to look up and be like, I can grab. Like last year, I don't think a lot of people were super high on Baker cooking, and like obviously Baker was a top 5 fantasy quarterback last year, and I think you were able to either pick him up in late rounds or you were able to pick him up on waivers.
4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns.
Relax, brother, relax. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting to talk some strategy though as we get closer and closer to the draft. I know chat was asking about it. We will have our draft will be live with you guys. We'll be live streaming our draft, which will be fun. We'll get the dates for that organized as we get closer and closer. We'll have some more information about our other fantasy league that you guys can that you guys can trade for, get ready for very soon. We'll also have information about all that for you guys on the timeline as we get closer to it. But W show today, guys. Thanks for tuning in right here on the Betting News Network for some saucy Sunday action. Go follow Just Sook. Always, Mr. Producer Sook. Go follow him on the timeline. Go follow Vsauce. Go follow Danny Burke at Danny Burke 5, and go follow myself at Sweatpants Jesus. Get involved with all of our content at Betting News and at bettingnews.com for free sports betting information and analysis every single day for you guys. We got you covered, a little bit of everything for the vibes, and we're live here every single day on Twitch, on YouTube, and on X. If you like the content, if this is your first time tuning in, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and come and hang out with us, because we are going to give you all the information for the entire season as football is right around the corner. You're not going to want to miss a single second. Boys, great show. Anybody got any vibes they want to talk about before we get out of here?
Let's have a Sunday, boys.
We can extend the show for 20 minutes if you guys want to talk Baker.
No.
No, I think we've said Baker's name enough. I'm like, Gerald said it in the chat, man. Are you a little worried at how high everybody is on Baker? I feel like Baker needs that underdog mentality to be goated. Are you a little concerned by that?
No, not at all. He's got a chip on his shoulder that's the size of Mount Everest, and he'll be fine. He'll be fucking fine. Baker Mayfield is gonna stiff arm some motherfucker in week 1, and we're gonna be straight jerking it and it'll be great.
Somebody cut the stream. It's time to cut the stream.
That's too much Baker love. There's the Saucy 4 if you guys want to ride it out with us. Kyle Schwarber, 2 bases. The Padres money line from Danny Nyeka. Agumuke over 24.5 PR, and Paige Beckers over 16.5 points for pretty much plus 1,000 if you'd like to tail. Those are all of our plays put together as well. Thanks so much for stopping by. You guys came for the winners and you stayed for the vibes and a little bit of Baker lore. We will catch you tomorrow for Best Espresso to kick off your week. Have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I know, right? All right. See you guys later, chat. Have a good one. Peace.
What you know about rolling down in the